Welcome back to Tailor Streak. Remember I showed you how to cut, how to make a suit with a double front vent, and then I showed you how to properly interface it and how to make out your markings using threading, avoiding the usage of the too much usage of chalk. So now I want to show you how to treat the fronts. That's how to make the front vent. So I'll be showing you this step by step. You follow carefully to understand better. Please, you make sure you don't jump steps, as every step I'm taking you through is important in understanding how to do this bit by bit. So let's just go right into it. Remember the lapel, the facing for the lapel. I advised us to trim it with a bit excess. So don't be worried about this. With time I'll show you why this is like this. But for the other for the pattern I initially showed you about collar making, how to fix a collar, a direct collar on suit, you don't need to do this place this way. You can just cut it. I will just be attaching a picture for you to see how you can cut this place. So this is another lecture I'll be showing you, but this we're facing the vent. So after trimming this, as I advised you to trim it with excess, well, after gumming, after gumming this, you come back to check. You come back to reconfirm the shape, and then make sure it's equal to the front. So the excess part, now that you've gummed, you can go ahead to trim it. So I'm trimming the excess. So I'm done trimming. This fabric is quite silky. This fabric is quite silky, so you have to hold it down anytime you're trimming on it or anytime you're working with it. It's quite silky. So going to be cutting out the lining. We'll be using the black suit lining, so let's go.
It this way.
you're facing. At this point, you don't need to use the two to double part. You can just use one, so as you don't get confused. So you cut out the lining. Since this is not having that excess that I spoke about, that extra that is going up, so you have to push the lining to have at least 3-inch upward. So we place the suit and then we just trim. You're adding an allowance here of 1.5 to 2-inch. So I just mark this way. So I come here at a slant. Take this out. So remember we
added allowance here.
So this is
Perfect.
when you're trimming yours. So as you can see, this falls in perfect, but I'm not going to use this because I need an excess here to avoid any issues later. So I'm not going to cut it there. Moving my lining all the way up. So I need to let me take out this time to appreciate all my viewers, all my subscribers. You guys have been doing marvelously well. Amazing. I love you all. So if you're just new to my channel and you're yet to subscribe, just please click on the subscribe button and then turn on the notification. Like when I just went to check my the viewers I have and the places they're viewing me from, I saw a lot of countries. I was wowed. A lot of countries. From Africa, I have Nigeria, I have Ghana, I have Zimbabwe, I have a lot of countries in Africa. And then from other countries like Asia, I have India, I have Bangladesh, I have so many. Europe, I have United States of America, and so many other countries. Like, I'm appreciating you all because you viewing what I'm placing gives me more energy to give out more content. So let's do more, and then I'm sure I'll be here giving you pack of knowledge. I have a lot of experience in this. I've been doing this for over 15 years, and then I can tell you I have a lot of experience to teach you. So just buckle up. All right, back to this. You can see the space, the allowance I'm giving, and this is to avoid any issue. At the lower part here, I'm trimming it equal. At this part is equal, but our allowance goes from up here and then all the way at the side, so you have to do it the same. And that's that for the cutting of the lining. The next thing I'll be going to the machine to do now is I'll show you every machine work. I'll show you how the things need to be stitched, but for these straight lines, I think I will just tell you and just stitch them and come back here. So we're just attaching, basically attaching this way. For this part, we're just attaching it this way, straight from down up. So after you attach this, you just come back and press. So for this length, remember we added 2 inch at the down, so we're going to be folding the 2 inch inward. Measure 2 inch, mark 2 inch, mark. So after doing the same thing, so since we are creating our vent, since we are creating the vent on the front part, we're going to be folding this inward. Do the same thing on the other part. So for the lapel, I use biro or pencil to mark it out. So most times you can either use a rubber estay, to white to gum this place, or you can use paper gum. I most often use paper gum, but tonight I'm using a rubber estay. So one of the importance of this is to be able to mark the shape of your lapel. And this is the shapes I'm using. So I'll just place a mark. But meanwhile, I want to check the wideness of how I want the lapel to be like. You have to measure to keep it the same size with the other one. So I'm using 3.75 at this part. And I'm marking it. So this basically is giving a guide for you to follow when creating your lapel. So you repeat the same thing on the other side. We are going to be holding it down with pins before we go down to the machine to stitch it. So you make sure you check, make sure it's balanced. So now before we attach this place together, we're not sewing it here. So we're going to be reducing the facing with 1 inch. We're going to be reducing the facing with 1 inch. So we come in 1 inch. Reduce. Take out the 1 inch. So this is going to be attached this way. We took out 1 inch from here. But when we're attaching it, we're not attaching them equal. We're still pushing this one that we took out 1 inch from. We're still pushing it like ½ inch ahead this way. I would explain why we need to do it like this as we go on. So we need to push it ½ inch like this. So repeat the same thing on the other side before we go to the machine. Okay, so after pinning, now we're back to the machine to sew. So I told you we're going to push this ½ inch ahead. ½ inch ahead, and then we stitch. So we're going to sew this halfway and then stop. So for this, because you know this facing, we cut it shorter than this front. So this is how we're going to fold it. You can see it's shorter inside. It's shorter than the main facing. So we're going to fold it this way. Let me show you again. This is the main front and this is the facing. So we're going to bend it. This way. Bend it. Make sure you're getting the center of this. Bending it. And then look how it is. So we're going to be sewing it just the way it is. I just tack. I prefer sewing through this up part that I did this design, so I can be seeing what I'm doing. So forget about this line that went in here. We're just starting from this straight. Mistake. So you see what I showed you, what we did from the inner part? We're having an excess that is folded down so that it will be able to allow the suit breathe. Like if there's any excess fabric, this is what would be breathable and it can stretch to allow your suit get a good form. So it is very necessary that you have this excess. It is very necessary. So let's turn this part. So while turning the peak lapel, you have to be so careful that you bring out the shape accurately and not making it look rough. So look at it. This is how fine it is looking. And make sure this edge is on a straight line. Make sure it's on a straight line, like very straight line. It will affect how your collar looks if you don't make it on a straight line. So the next thing we'll be doing is hemming. At this point, the bottom point, we're going to switch. So you can see from here, we're pushing the facing a bit forward, but at the point of the button, we're going to switch to pushing this one forward instead of this. At the lapel part, we're pushing this forward and then the body is going inward, but at this part now, going downward, we're pushing this part a bit, not much, not too much, just a bit forward, and then the facing is going inward. So since my stitches came a little bit inward, so I'm loosening it. So this part, we'll have to bend it like this. There's a video, my video how to how to make a functional buttonhole on sleeves. It has a detailed explanation on this, but I'll still be doing the explanation on the back part so as we can understand better. You have to fold it just like this, fold it inward and mark this out. So first off, I'm going to be pinning this. Going to be pinning this, and then let's go on. Let's go. So after doing this, you mark a lining for trimming, you trim. This lining here, so I'm trying to balance. You have to fold it over this point. You press. So I'm checking the end. This so this is more like kits. So after setting this like this, we're going to stitch this under, stitching it under, and then doing the other part as well. So after doing that, you would take the side panel and then also fold 2-inch. So the first thing we'll be doing after we bend this 2-inch is attaching this lining to the base. So let me quickly attach. So just attached. Now we're pushing. Remember I said we're going to be putting allowance. So we're putting a bit of allowance down here and then pressing. Remember we trimmed this. Remember this way. Now we trimmed it this way. So this one we're going to be trimming it inward. We trim the other one outward. This will be trimming inward. See? So these parts that were folded, in case you didn't see it well, see it was open. We folded it this way and then inward. So now I used chalk to mark it out, and we're opening it this way. Now we're we're going to attach this line straight. See the both lines. Well, at this point, we're not coming down, we're coming closer to this particular line. Closer to this particular line. So just watch me do this. Open it this way and turn it. Push it up. So quickly give it a little press, and then I come attach this. So let me give it a quick. So after pressing, you can see how beautiful and flat it is looking. So this part, we're going to stitch this part to this. We're going to use a hand needle to hem it first. So now we're going inside. So going to the stitching. Going to stitch as close as possible to the tacking you did, but ensuring you don't climb the lining or the fabric extra with stitches. So after stitching, you just take off this hemming. So if you want, you can still go in to lock it more. So let's just go and close it down much more closer. So now it's perfect. So this down, we're going to stitch it as well. For those that have soft hands, there's what we call thimple. You can get it to reduce stress on your nails. I'll just check for mine, but I don't just feel comfortable using it. That's why I'm not actually using it to hem. It's the ideal thing to use. So this is how we just go through inside and then close here. Now we're to join the side piece with this, so as we can complete the front vent. This is the side piece. So we are about to attach it together. First off, you make sure they are flat on the base. Make sure they are equal on the base. Then you hold on to the fabric. When you check here they're equal, then from here you hold on to it. 1, 2, turn. Turn and you touch. Touch. Let's go. So you can see we've done the vent for one side. So the same thing we've done now, we're just going to repeat we're just going to repeat the same thing on the other side, and then we'll just open press this. We're making progress. As you can see, we've stitched here, we've stitched here, and then we've attached this part. So before we open press this, we can just press the thread a bit. So we're still going to cut the canvas to fix in. So, but first of all, let's lock this lining, make it sit clean. So we're going ahead to lock this lining. After we've attached this, and then we've already open pressed this inside, so we're about to join the lining together. So you can see this allowance that's here, but we're not catching the same size. This is a bit big, so we're not going to be sewing this same allowance from this down. This down is going to be like 0.4 or 0.5. Then coming up, we carefully slant to this particular allowance. Then for this extra allowance we added here, we're not going to stretch the lining this way. We're still going to keep it this way. So let me do this way. Let me just pin it. So you know it's going to stay this way. It's going to be staying this way, and then this way, and turn it just like we did this place. We're going to repeat the same thing here. So we place both the lining and the fabric on the same line. So we bend this way. As I said, we're starting our sewing from out here and then coming to meet this stitch here. So let's go. So after sewing, you can trim this to reduce the allowance a bit. But if your allowance is not much, you can just, if your allowance is not more than ½ inch, you can just leave it. So now we'll go. As you can see, both lines are aligning, both the lining and the fabric. Let me lay it down and show you what I mean by that. So this is how it's supposed to look. So you see, so now we're going inside to attach these two. So the lining, the fabric is going to be bent this way, the lining over the fabric, and the same thing on the other side, this way. So take note, this stitch that is here, make sure the stitch that is here is aligning with this other stitch here. This stitch here and the one on top are aligning, because attaching this lining, you start from this stitch going all the way up. So after bending it over this way, bring out the footer, clamp it down, and then we're going to stitch our lining together. So we see how this is clean, and then this as well. So on this part, if you want to make an inner pocket, you have to attach the side. That's press, trim this, attach the side panel, then you come mark for your pocket, and then you fix your pocket before you continue. So for the vents, this is done. We're just going to press. But before we press, we're going to hem this part. We're just going to press. We're just going to press this. There's a side panel to be attached, and then this is it. So after attaching it with the lining, then we'll trim the lining. So I believe you can just attach the side panel and go on, since this is what I am showing you. And so cut canvas to put on the chest.